Hello, party people. Welcome back to our book review with the Literary Ladies. I'm KP,
I'm Melanie.
and we're back.
Oh, yeah.
And today we are going to do what we announced last podcast. We're reviewing You Know Me Well by Nina Lacour. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, I
Lacour?
say like Nina Lacour,
Lacour.
like liquor.
Lacour. Pretty cool. Um,
And,
Oh, I don't have the second person's
oh,
name. I just put her name down.
his name is David Levithan.
Sorry, David. I forgot about you. but
Saz David.
but let's just say Nina wrote the book and David just helped.
I'm assuming I didn't look this up or anything, but I'm just imagining she wrote uh, Kate's point of view and he probably wrote Mark's point of view. That could be completely wrong, but that's just what I pictured.
That's so interesting, though. I never would think that someone would write like that, but I actually kind of like that.
Yeah, it would be really fun. You could just get into the zone of that character, and then it's like, oh, this person's writing from this point of view, and it's like, oh, what would my character say back to her? That would be really fun.
Yeah, I like that a lot. So, as usual, there's going to be a lot of spoilers. So, if you haven't read it, go read it and pause the podcast now.
Yeah, this was a really quick read. Like, we recorded our last podcast like 4 days ago, and we're already sitting down here recording this next one. It was like 6 hours on Audible. You finished it before me reading it.
Yeah.
So it was a really quick read. So
It was
definitely
it
read
was
it and then
really
come back.
good. Yeah. And just as like a little bio about it, it's just like a coming of age story about a gay man and a lesbian woman and their friendship and them just trying to like become the people that they're meant to be while in high school.
Mhm.
And it was very interesting.
It
It was
was.
a good story.
And also, usually we find discussion questions like written from the author or other ones that we find online, but this time we didn't have that because we couldn't find any anywhere. So KP wrote most of these questions, and they are very good. They're very thought provoking. So I'm excited to go through them.
I'm gonna quit my day job and just be like a book question writer.
Perfect. Is
That
that a
would be,
job?
I don't know, but like I would totally do that. I would read books and then write
You did
questions.
really good. I was like, oh, this sounds like someone wrote. Mine was like one sentence. Meanwhile, yours were like long
I'm
and
an author.
yeah, you are.
I'm like so good. All right, so I can start us off. So
Okay.
question numero uno. At the beginning of the book, Kate and Mark run into each other at the nightclub and realize that they sit next to each other in class, but they've never spoken. Do you think that they both were surprised to see each other there? Do you think this was realistic?
So I think just out of the fact of them like seeing each other, they're in high school, like they're not that old, real they're seniors, but I mean you wouldn't really expect to see your like senior, I don't know, maybe I came from a different world where you would expect to see your senior high school friends in clubs downtown or whatever, but I don't know. I think that they were surprised. I think Mark was most surprised because he was worried that she saw Ryan and was gonna, like out him when he wasn't out to the rest of his friends.
Yeah.
And Mark was like super protective over this man. And I definitely think that it was realistic because in high school, like I don't know about you, but I went to a high school with like 1,000 students. So there's no way I talked to every single person. Yeah, they would totally look familiar and I would maybe recognize them if I saw them someplace like that. But if I had never talked to them, it wouldn't be surprising to me. So yeah, I definitely think it was realistic.
Yeah. I think that they were like destined to be friends.
Mm-hmm.
The chances of them ending up in the same nightclub in the middle of San Francisco, I was like, what are the chances of this happening? So
Yeah.
I think they were meant to be besties and they were meant to meet each other that way.
Mm-hmm.
I had a different high school experience because my high school was really big. So there were like 800 people in each class.
Mm.
So I didn't know anyone in my high school. not complaining. It was fine, but it was okay. But yeah, I did not go to clubs and bars in high school. I would never dare.
Nope.
And that was, I think it was like realistic because they were going to Pride. And I
Yeah.
don't think some bar at Pride is going to be like, show me your ID. They're just going to be like, everyone drink and be happy.
Pride
And
is so much fun. I did not get to experience like the full Pride here because I think that I was still in school or something like that. So I just went to the parade, but I just imagine like going to the clubs and stuff would be such a blast.
yes, I
Well,
think it would be so much fun.
I feel like I was going to add something, but I can't remember. So that's fine. We can just move on. And if I think about it later, I will tell you. Oh, I was going to say my high school like idea of a good time was my friends coming over and us all playing Super Mario and yeah, just fighting over everyone getting trapped in bubbles on Super Mario. So that was great. There was no alcohol, there was no clubs.
No, same, yeah. I was talking to some high school friends the other day, and we were saying that in high school, we would just go to the movies every Friday night and like see a movie, and that was like what we did on the weekends, and
Yep.
what the entire high school did. Because I mean, we're both from like similar areas, in the Tampa Bay area, and there's not a whole lot going on, so we
Yeah.
would go to the movies.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is going to be the long one because I'm going to combine those two.
Mhm.
Kate is planning on meeting Violet on the night she meets Mark. Why do you think she ran away from meeting her? Do you think the story would have turned out different had she met Violet on that night? And also, Kate has spent a lot of the book running away from what she wants in a potential relationship with Violet. How do you feel about her acting this way?
It's hard because I can't predict what would have happened if she met Violet the night she was supposed to meet her. But I don't think she was mentally prepared to. She had so much growing to do. She was so insecure about so many things. And I don't think she was in a good headspace to meet Violet that night,
Yeah,
which I mean, I think she should have waited, and she did wait, but it kind of is like super shitty for Violet too, because she's so ready to meet this person she's been talking to, and Kate just never showed up.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I get where Kate's coming from, but I also think it was pretty shitty that she didn't show up that night.
Right. I think that Kate explained this so well in the book when she was talking about how she had this idea of Violet in her head, and it was something that was comforting to her, and that she could always kind of look to when she was in these times of trouble. And maybe she felt like if she ever met Violet in person, that would all just be kind of taken away from her. But I think she had this realization when her friends were like, you know, this is your last chance to meet Violet. Like after that, it's like she's gonna move on, you know. So I think it was kind of like, oh, if I don't do this now, like it's never gonna happen, and kind of that whole entire thing is gonna just implode on her. So as far
Yeah.
as if they had met earlier, I just feel like I agree with you. I don't think that they would have had that same connection that they had, because like even without meeting each other, there was so much development between their characters, like with the flowers having been left and all this other stuff that happens. So I feel like it was much more authentic and genuine, like when they actually met and there was already like a connection that had been formed.
Yeah. And I totally get that like idea Kate had in her head of, I don't know, seeing Violet in this like perfect lighting and not wanting that to get messed up. Because that happens a lot these days. And especially with like online dating, which they kind of did. They met
Hmm.
online, or they met through a friend, but
Right.
they always talked through texting and all that. And you just get this idea of like, oh, this person's so great, and then you meet them and you're like, they're really not as great as I thought
Right.
they
It's
were.
like how people say like never meet your idols or whatever, because you'll just be disappointed by them.
Yeah. And like it's crazy because, and I've even done it, where you meet someone on a dating site and you're like, oh my gosh, this person is perfect. I'm gonna marry them. And it's like, okay, we've been talking for 2 hours. Like, why am I planning our wedding?
Just moving a little fast there.
Just a little bit. So
It's fine.
yeah, I totally could relate to that. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, this makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. So the next one. So Mark goes to the club with his best friend Ryan on that first night. Ryan ends up meeting Taylor and ends up ditching Mark for the rest of the evening. What were your feelings when this happened?
This is literally the first sentence that I wrote. Ugh, Ryan sucks. I said, Mark is like such a great guy, right? And he's so supportive to Ryan, like supporting that he hasn't come out yet, all of this other stuff. And obviously, like coming out on your own time is a whole separate argument, but I'm just acknowledging that he was supportive that he wasn't doing it, right? And then Ryan just freaking ditches him at this club, which is so shitty of him to do.
Mhm.
And because like not only did they go there together expecting to like hang out, like he's gonna get them both in trouble because he doesn't freaking pick up his phone after they leave either. And you can just see like how great Mark is coming back at the end of the book. Like after everything that happens, he goes back and helps Ryan when he's like down at the end of the book. And like that just shows what great character like Mark has. And like, I don't know, I just didn't like Ryan at all.
Yeah, same. I had a lot of feelings about Ryan, and they were not good ones. My heart just broke for Mark in that moment. It was so sad, and I don't think he would have entered that underwear dance contest thing if he didn't want to impress Ryan. And then right after that, Ryan's like, "Oh, I met this cute guy. Like, I'm out of here." And it was so sad. And just thinking of like, this was his best friend. Like, if I went with my best friend, like, say I went with you to some nightclub and you met a nice lady that you wanted to go home with, and you just texted me and you're like, KP, like, I'm gonna go. I would be like, is she gonna kill you? Like, you don't even know this person.
Right.
So it was like so crazy to me that Ryan was like, all right, yeah, I'm just gonna go hang out with Taylor like the rest of the night. Like, see you tomorrow. I would have a stroke. I would panic.
You'd be like, who is this? What is their job? Who are their parents? Do they
Yeah.
have friends? Do they have a roommate? Do they have a dog?
Yeah, I would be like, first of all, no, you're not. You're
Yeah.
coming home with me. And second of all, like, who the hell does this person think that they are? That they can like come kidnap you and like whatever. I didn't like Taylor, but like it wasn't Taylor's fault. Like it was Ryan's fault just for being a shitty
Yeah.
person.
Like Taylor seems pretty like he seems like a pretty cool guy like throughout the book. I feel like he's not super at fault. Like he doesn't know that Mark is like in love with Ryan, right? So I mean, I don't feel like Taylor's to blame. I feel like it's totally on Ryan. Ryan just sucks.
Right? And I think it was somewhere in the middle of you reading the book, you texted me and you were like, Ryan is so dumb. And I was like, yup, he sure is.
Oh my gosh. I can imagine me saying that again.
You did.
Okay, so this next one kind of ties into that. How do you feel about the line in the book where Ryan told Mark that Taylor is just a date and Mark was the calendar?
So initially when I read that, I thought, okay, Mark is endgame. Like he's gonna end up with Mark. Taylor's just like a little fling that whatever. But then at the end of the book, I was like, okay, I think it meant that Mark is always going to be like his ride or die, but Taylor's just like a current boyfriend that who knows if he'll be around a year from now.
Right. I said that it was like way too personal to me, like, and I felt like Ryan was confessing that Taylor could never measure up to Mark and that he wanted to be with him, but then that wasn't the case at all. So it was almost like he was playing with Mark's emotions a little bit. Especially like after, like, was he freaking clueless when he texted him that he would fight for him or what?
And we'll get to that in the next question, but
Oh,
I was so upset. so upset.
Yeah. That was not a good response.
I will lead us into the next question because
Okay.
I had all the feelings. So Mark finally tells Ryan how he feels about him. It started with the text message that said, "I will fight for you." Do you think Mark should have sent that? Why or why not? How do you feel about how their heart to heart happened when they finally talked through everything?
So I think Mark definitely needed to say that for his own peace of mind. I can't tell you how many people in high school, and I don't know why I was so brazen in high school, but like every time I liked someone, I told them for some reason. In my adult life, would I ever do that? Not a chance. Some reason in high school, I was amazing and brave. Um, and
You
then
are amazing and brave
anxiety hit and it all went out the window.
adults.
Um, I will say none of that bravery ever got me anywhere, but there's always a chance that it will for someone. So, I'm not discrediting it, but I think Mark definitely just needed to tell Ryan and get it off his chest because he's been in love with this boy for how long? Like he needed him to know. And obviously Ryan was clueless because of the way he responded to that "I will fight for you" text message. Like, what did he even say? He was like, "Thanks, like I would fight for you too," or something
He
like that.
said, "I'll always be there for you."
Yeah.
Or "I'm glad you're always there for me."
Yeah, something like that. Just something like
Something
so stupid and not even ugh. So I put like I still think Ryan's a terrible human, and basically Mark and Kate are like best friends now, and that's for the best. Like they made amends, but they're never going to be the same as they were before that night at Pride. Like that kind of changed everything for them.
Yeah, for sure. So I am like you, and in high school, I would always tell the guy that I liked him too.
Mhm.
And I don't know why I ever did this because it never worked out good for me.
Me either.
But I would, because you would like talk to your friends and they're like, "Oh, you should just tell him, like, he likes you too," which he never ended up liking you. And then I would go home and I would go on AIM and I would message him and be like, "I like you." And I would shut my computer off and like run out of the room.
Yes. Okay. Was this like everyone's high school experience?
Probably.
Or
Or maybe I wouldn't shut my computer off because I wanted to see the response, but I would like leave the room for like an hour and then I would come back. And it would always be like, "I don't like you," or like, "Oh, you're my friend."
yeah. I think we should just be friends. Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, this is really
See you
awkward. Yeah,
tomorrow in first period.
for sure. I hated it. And then after, I'd be like, "Okay, why did I do that?" Like, it messes up the whole friendship because it really does. Like, you don't know how someone's going to react to you telling them that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Especially in high school, people are going to be like, "Oh, that's weird." Like, especially stupid guys, they're going to be like, "Oh, we can't be friends because I'm uncomfortable." Like, no, you're not. Like, you're fine. Like, grow
Yeah.
up. But yeah, we were on the same page there, my friend.
Okay.
So when Mark sent that text, I had like actual anxiety in my soul because it needed to be done, but I was so scared to see Ryan's response.
Yeah.
And then when he responded, I was like, "What? Like, what is this?" It was like an answer that could be taken 12 different ways.
Yeah.
And what Mark did was so brave, and the way he worded it was so like courageous to say like, "I'll always fight for you, always fight for this, even down the road." And for Ryan just to like friend zone him like that, I was like, "No, I don't like this."
That whole thing was actually really cool because it was Violet who said to like write down one sentence and send it or something like that.
Mhm.
Like that was really interesting. And I liked that. There was a lot of very good, like quotable things and like great, like points of view in this book that I really will like carry with me because I think that they were really important for such a short book to have like such a good message in it is awesome.
Yeah, like the story that Violet told about the guy that was in the circus with her, that would, what was it? He would like graffiti a saying
Yeah.
in every city just to
Mhm.
show the woman that he loved her. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like that's so romantic." Like,
Right. And it wasn't about like really getting her attention. It was just like hoping that she might walk by someday, like
yeah,
how
just
cool.
fate. you know?
Yep. Okay, so our next one is Violet makes grand gestures in this book, from a small gesture of bringing the rose the first night to buying all of Kate's paintings before the show. How do you feel about the way Violet has expressed her feelings?
I loved it. I think Violet's love language is acts of kindness or like
Hmm.
acts of love,
Yeah,
because every time she did something, I was like, oh my gosh, like you're doing something to make Kate feel like so special and so like seen, especially buying all the paintings. I was like, girl, you are going out there. And I really liked it. I think that a lot of the times characters don't do that and people in real life don't do that because they're scared or I don't know,
yeah.
anxious. So I loved it.
It's so funny that you brought up love languages, because that's exactly what I wanted to talk about, because I literally wrote, I am the same. That was my response to this, because I was gonna say I don't even know if there's a love language for it. It's like the opposite of receiving gifts, but I think you're right. I think it's like the acts of service.
Mhm.
And it's just like buying people, and not in a way that's like, oh, like my parents didn't love me, they only bought gifts for me. It's not like that. It's like buying people meaningful gifts, or like baking them something nice, like anything like that is what I'm all about. Like I love doing that. Christmas is my holiday because that is like my favorite thing to do. For my Christmas last year, I made my girlfriend's parents and her sister, I made them all strawberry jam. I made my stepdad beef jerky. I made my brother homemade bath bombs. Like, I just love doing stuff like that. It lets me be creative, and it like lets me do something other than just like obviously I still love purchasing gifts, like material items, and giving them too, but especially those ones where I get to hand make something, it like lets me be creative and really like put effort into giving someone a gift. So I think that Violet and I are kind of similar in that way.
Yeah, I would say I'm the same too. I love giving gifts. I hate receiving gifts.
Yeah.
And that seems so crazy, but except for the box that you sent me in the mail, that was like the greatest gift of all time.
Okay, good. I'm glad you like that one. Shout out to Happy Box. If you want to send your friend a cute little care package, they have funny stickers, cute candles, snacks, chocolate, tea, anything you could ever want.
All the things. And they're not sponsoring us. We just love them.
Not sponsored. If you want to, Happy Box.
Not an ad, but I've sent 3 boxes since I received one because it is the best gift.
One of the coolest things that they do is they hand write the message that you want them to in the card that you pick. So it's like very personal.
But see, I noticed something and I was going to write them a letter because they never sign who the card is from
Oh,
ever. And I've
oh
sent,
wait, did you not? I put it in mine. Did they not sign it on yours? Really?
you would ask me for my address. So I'm like, oh, I think Melanie sent me something. But when I sent the boxes, there was no signature on any of them.
And maybe there's some like rule against that where it would be like forging someone's signature or something.
I don't know. I'm like, just put like my initials. Like, just put anything so that I don't have to awkwardly text the person.
Yeah, that
Because
is kind of strange.
uh,
Okay, Happy Box, you can still sponsor us and we'll give you some tips. Hey, thanks for
please
listening
send
to
the
our
cards in the future because it's really crazy sending boxes out and people not knowing they're from me. Okay.
thanks for listening to our mini rant. Okay. Am I the next one or are you?
I don't remember. I can read it.
Okay.
A big portion of the book is the tiff between Kate and Lena. Were you reading it, or was the book reading it as Lena or Lena?
I think it was Lena.
Lena.
Yeah.
I like that name, but I didn't know how it was going to be pronounced.
Mhm.
Whose side were you on during this? Did you think that the feelings were justified on both sides?
Okay. I was definitely more on Kate's side because I thought Lena had created a lot of lies and deception to jumpstart this relationship between Kate and Violet. I understand Lena's point of view because she did put a lot of effort into like creating this thing for her best friend with her own cousin, right? But I mean, obviously, like then putting in all that work and then having someone just like ditch and be unreliable, like that would be frustrating. But I definitely think I was on Kate's side more.
Same. So, as much as I disliked Ryan, I disliked Lena 100 times more because I feel like she was the type of friend that is like, I'm going to cheer you on from the sidelines while she's like talking mad crap to like the other people about you.
Yeah.
And the the way that she put so much stress on Kate before the first meeting with Violet, I was like, okay, friends don't do this. Like, you don't tell your friend that if you don't do these 12 things, this person's not going to like them.
Yeah.
And I did understand where she was coming from because she didn't want to lose her best friend, but also you have to like grow up and not be a child and understand that your friend's going to get into a relationship and be able to share your friend with someone.
Right. It was like she wanted her to be in this relationship, right? Because she had set it up, but then she was doing so much to keep them apart. Like she wouldn't tell her where she was. She wouldn't give her phone number. Like there was a lot of misconnection there. And it was kind of like she wanted it to fail.
Yeah, I think that she did.
Yeah.
And every time Kate would ask Lena, like, oh, how's it going with like the girl that you're talking to? She would just like brush it off and not say anything. So it's not like Kate wasn't trying
Right.
to see how Lena was doing. It was really sad.
Yeah. All right. So our last question, what are your thoughts of the friendship that formed between Kate and Mark by the end of the book?
I loved it. I freaking loved it. I felt such like a connection with them reading the story. It was so organic. After the first day, I was like, this is their ride or die. These
Hmm.
are their people. And they got each other through such like hard times in the span of 1 week.
Yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was a great story. I loved their friendship in it. It was great.
Yeah, I think their relationship was just fate. Like they were both going through this period where they were losing these people in their lives who were supposed to be their best friends and they needed someone to lean on. So Kate was like dealing with this overwhelming urge to run away from something good. And she couldn't rely on Lena because it was Lena's cousin and she had put so much work into the relationship. So she couldn't talk to her about why she kept running away.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Mark was caught up in this lust for his own best friend and needed someone to help him through that. And they kind of just met at this like perfect time. Like I said, it was that night of the pride that kind of changed everything. And they met that night and it was perfect. And they're like probably my favorite. It's so funny because I'm going to say my favorite moment of the book was when it ended, and that's like, oh, because the book was terrible, but it wasn't terrible. The part that I loved so much, like through this book, was when they were all sitting together at the table in the Mexican restaurant and they kept switching seats. And when she got to sit next to Mark and she said, like let's continue to be friends for a really long time after this or whatever she said, I was like, wow, like what, they have like such a special bond now because they've been through this like crazy time together.
Yeah, it pulled at my heartstrings, definitely. And I'm sometimes like hesitant to read young adult books because sometimes it's so, I don't know what the word is. It's so predictable how the characters are going to be and how the story's going to end. And not to like bash young adult writers, but sometimes they put the characters in these little boxes
Mhm.
and they don't go out of them. But I loved this book because I loved that both of the characters, the main characters, were part of this LGBTQ community
Mhm.
and struggling and trying to find their voice and trying to figure out who they were. And it's something so timeless. There's always going to be people that are in high school who are gay or lesbian, and there are always going to be struggles. And I feel like someone who's reading this who's in high school who might still be in the closet would get so much out of this book.
Right. Like, give me another book where literally every character is LGBT and, like, aside from their parents, I don't think there was a straight character in that book to be found. Like,
There wasn't.
no. So that was just incredibly like awesome. Like every single book is a straight couple, right? Like that's
Mhm.
just what you read all of the time. So just to just have a book that's like entirely LGBT, like all of the characters, like the main characters, the not so main characters, you know, like the protagonists, the like
Yeah.
everyone. So it was really cool.
Even like the people who own the art gallery were in that community as well.
Oh, right, because they like that's what the whole show was too, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it. I really like, I know we do this like hypothetical question of who would play them in a movie, but I would love to see this be turned into a movie.
Yeah, I
I think
agree.
that would be amazing.
I agree. So good segue into the question that we love to ask
Yeah.
is what did these characters look like to you? Who would play them in a movie?
So are we just gonna go through who would play them?
Yeah, because that's kind of who, like, if you want to describe what the actor actress looks like, just in case no one knows or someone doesn't know who that is, then that's fine.
Okay. So for Kate, I said she's artsy, she's short, she's long brown hair. I said that she would be played by Haley Lou Richardson, who was in that movie Edge of 17. She was the friend. She wasn't Haley Steinfeld. She was the other one in it.
I'm gonna look her up because I've never heard of her. Oh, okay, cute.
Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah, I was like, she looks like artsy and she looks like she could be like this chill girl that just like is trying to find her way.
Yeah, I could totally see that. So for Kate, I pictured her as like and I already told you who I pictured her as, but Bex Taylor Klaus, she has, you know, like short, she was in the Scream series on Netflix. She has like short, dark hair. Um, she's very like edgy. I don't know. That's just like what I didn't come to realize like that's who I was picturing until I was talking to you about it the other day, but that's just like what I had in my mind the whole time.
Yeah. So what about for Lena? Who
For
did you?
Lena, I put Chloe Grace Moretz. Is that how you say her name?
I almost put her for one of the characters, but I
Okay.
didn't. But yes, I could totally see it.
Yeah, I just was picturing like blonde, you know. That's about it. That's all. I just saw her as a blonde.
Yeah. I was trying to think of someone in that age demographic that could play this kind of strong, bitchy character.
hmm
So I I picked Debbie Ryan.
Oh, yeah, she's good. That's a
Yeah,
good one.
because I was like, I feel like she could totally pull off the like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you did that.
Yeah, I love Debbie Ryan.
I do too.
That's a
Yeah.
great choice. You know, and our other job can just be casting the movies off of these books. So, directors, hit us up.
I know there's like a lot of you listening to us currently,
Yeah,
so we live in Florida and Georgia now, but we can relocate to
yeah,
LA.
I'll move anywhere today. Just, you know, hit me up, call me, beat me. Okay, so for Mark, and I kind of went back and forth on this because I know he's supposed to be like this football player, right? But I put, and the only reason I put this guy is because I remember seeing him on TikToks because everyone's like obsessed with him right now. Timothy Chalamet, or however you say his name.
So I almost put him for Ryan, not for,
Okay,
but yes, I can totally see it. 200%. Is he on
yeah.
TikTok? I
No, well,
need to.
people, I don't think he's on TikTok, but someone like drew him the other day and they were like, oh, I had to look up who this was because so many of you were requesting him. And I've seen his face before, but he's an actor, right? I don't think I've seen him in anything, and I may have and just don't know.
So he was in, which I think we're gonna read in the future. Call Me by Your Name, the movie
Oh,
adaptation.
yes, yes. Oh, okay. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So for Mark, I kind of stick to what they described him as, like athletic blonde, blue eyes,
hmm
all American boy. So I said that Ansel Elgort would play him.
I put Ansel Elgort for Ryan.
No! Oh my gosh, I love it.
That's so funny that because they actually have pictures together, Timothy and Ansel.
So isn't that not funny? Because I almost put Timothy for Ryan. So we would have picked the exact same.
That would have been really funny. But yeah, I mean, I could see it either way,
Yeah,
but like those two definitely.
I love it. So for Violet, who did you put?
I put Zendaya just because of the whole circus and like thinking about The Greatest Showman and her like flying around on the things, you know?
Yeah, this is the greatest show.
Yeah.
She is such a solid pick. I went through all the characters and I thought of her and I was like, I don't see it for anyone, but I love her so much.
Yeah.
And I love that show that she's on HBO, Euphoria. Have you seen it?
Mm-mm.
It's about these like kids in high school, but it's like really like messed up. Like they all like do drugs and have a lot of sex.
All
But
right.
that's probably how like high school is these days. Not when we were in high school, but
Not just like going to the movies and telling people you like them.
I'm like going to Starbucks for a frappuccino. Like that was
Vanilla bean frappuccino.
no coffee, please. My body can't handle it.
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
my gosh. So, okay. So for Violet, I was trying to think of someone who was like very hippie-esque. So I picked Billy Lord.
Okay. Wait, do I know
Yeah.
who that is?
So she was in that movie with Beanie Feldstein.
Oh, she was in Star Wars. What was she in Star Wars?
So her mom is Carrie Fisher from Star Wars.
Oh, okay.
So she was the one that was like coming into my head the most during the book.
Oh, I seeing her face like in different pictures, I recognize her.
Yeah, she's been in like a few movies, I think, but
Hmm.
she was in that one with Beanie Feldstein about them graduating high school, which was good. I don't remember the name now.
And you picked
But,
her for Violet. Okay. Yeah,
yeah.
that's good.
So for Ryan, you already said yours.
Yes.
Da, 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 Ansel Elgort. So I went back and forth on this one between two people,
Hmm.
between Cole Sprouse and Troy Sivan.
Okay. I could
But
see
I
that.
settled with Troy Sivan.
It's so funny that we picked like my image of Mark was your image of Ryan and it was
Mhm.
like flipped, you know?
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah, I think we both have solid picks. All of them can come audition for us and we'll just let the director know who's best.
Yeah. We'll keep you on the edge of your seat waiting if you got casted for a movie that's not happening.
Oh my gosh.
All
Okay,
of them,
so
Hollywood, please line up.
oh my gosh. So let's see. What was your rating out of 5?
So I really liked this book, but I'm not as big of like a romance coming of age story as I am like mysteries and thrillers. So I rated it like a 3.9.
Okay. This was, I think this, I rated this the highest that I've rated the other ones, but I gave it a 4.3 out of 5. So we're
That's
like
for
we're
you.
closer on this one than we have been on some of the other ones.
Yeah, the first one I was like crazy. I was like, it's a 4.8. And then I was like, what? Who rates like that?
Was it a 4.8? I don't know. Actually, no, that one was pretty high for me too, I think.
No
Maybe.
one knows.
I can't remember. Okay, so we have already picked our next book as usual. If you have book suggestions, send them to our Instagram, Literary Ladies Pod. Go follow us on Instagram. I post funny reading memes all the time.
So good. So
Um, Send us an email, literaryladiespod@gmail.com. Send us your suggestions there. We love to add new things to our list. We already have a running list. I posted that. It's on our highlights on Instagram. And do you want to announce our next book, KP?
yes. So our next book, we're doing a inspirational memoir. It is going to be Untamed by Glennon Doyle.
Ooh, I've heard all good things, all good things. So we're really excited. I actually have a hardcover of this one. It's not Audible, so that's new for me.
And I'm still reading on my Kindle.
Perf. So let us know how you guys like this. Drop us a rating if you're listening on Apple Podcasts. I don't know if other places have ratings. That's just where I've seen. But yeah, we'd love to hear from you on our Instagram, our email. Let us know what you want us to read. We will read it, I promise.
Yeah, our current list is like 35 books long. So
Yep.
we'll just add it to our list.
Yep. All right. Thank you guys for listening. We will catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.